Have you ever wondered what living alone can teach you? In a world full of noise and distractions, solitude often feels like something to be feared. But what if, instead of loneliness, living alone could be the key to unlocking your fullest potential? What if this quiet space, free from external influence, could be your path to self-discovery, growth, and true happiness? Today, we're diving deep into how living alone doesn't have to mean being isolated. It's a powerful journey of self-exploration, inner peace, and personal empowerment. With a little guidance from Buddha's timeless wisdom, we'll explore how solitude can become an adventure filled with abundant opportunities for growth. So, grab a cozy spot, get comfortable, and let's begin this enriching journey together. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Path to Buddhist Wisdom if you're ready to embrace a new way of thinking and living. 1. Embracing the challenge, living alone as a sacred space. At first, stepping into the silence of living alone can feel like walking into an unknown, empty room. It's quiet, and perhaps a little overwhelming. There's no one else to talk to, no external distractions to fill the space, and the silence might even seem a bit daunting. But this quiet space, this solitude, is not something to fear. Instead, it's a rare and sacred opportunity to connect with yourself in ways you might never have imagined before. Why do we fear solitude? In today's world, we're constantly surrounded by people, noise, and distractions. We've become so accustomed to the external validation and the constant flow of information that we can forget the power of silence. Living alone means stepping away from all of that. But what if we could see this silence not as something to avoid, but as a space to create something meaningful? Buddha's teachings on balance are incredibly helpful in this situation. He taught that in life, we must find the middle way, not too much, not too little. This applies to solitude as well. Living alone is not about filling the silence with distractions or running from it. It's about finding peace in the quiet, allowing it to become a space where you can truly listen to yourself and the world around you. It's a chance to reset, to reflect, and to rebuild your life from the inside out. Personal reflection. When I first started living alone, I didn't know what to do with the silence. It was uncomfortable. I kept myself busy, trying to avoid the feeling of being alone. But over time, I began to realize that it wasn't about avoiding loneliness, it was about embracing the stillness. As Buddha taught, silence is not empty, it is full of potential. It's a blank page, waiting for us to fill it with meaning, wisdom, and self-discovery. Learning to be your own best friend. Living alone teaches you to be your own company. You can no longer rely on other people for entertainment or to fill the gaps in your life. And while this may seem challenging at first, it's actually one of the greatest gifts solitude can give you, the ability to become your own best friend. You start to enjoy your own thoughts, to be comfortable with your own company, and to find joy in doing things by yourself. This might mean having a cup of tea in the morning without rushing, taking a walk without any agenda, or simply sitting in silence, just being present with yourself. Slowly, you learn that you don't need anyone else to feel complete, you are enough as you are. Buddha's wisdom on mindfulness. One of the most powerful tools in this journey of living alone is mindfulness. Buddha's teachings on mindfulness encourage us to live in the present moment, to fully experience each breath, each step, each thought. By practicing mindfulness, we start to tune into the world in a way that's more profound, more peaceful. When you live alone, there's a natural invitation to slow down and become more mindful of everything you do. Whether it's cooking, cleaning, or simply sitting with your own thoughts, you have the opportunity to bring awareness to every moment. And through this awareness, you can begin to cultivate a deeper sense of peace. The power of routine and structure. Another important aspect of embracing solitude is creating a daily routine. When you live alone, structure becomes your best friend. It's not about rigidly scheduling every minute, but about creating a routine that brings balance and meaning to your day. Having a set time for meals, exercise, work, and relaxation helps you stay grounded and gives your day a sense of purpose. Conclusion. Living alone is a journey that challenges us to confront our fears, to embrace the silence, and to build a life of balance. It teaches us that peace doesn't come from external sources, but from within ourselves. Just like Buddha found wisdom in his moments of solitude, we, too, can find strength, clarity, and self-love when we learn to be at peace with our own company. So, as you continue on your own journey of living alone, remember, this is not just about being physically alone. It's about using this time to discover who you truly are, what makes you happy, and how to live a more authentic and fulfilling life. 2. Confronting loneliness, finding strength in solitude. Living alone can sometimes bring us face to face with loneliness. It's a feeling that most of us are familiar with. And while it can be uncomfortable, it is not something to fear. In fact, loneliness is an opportunity for profound self-reflection and growth. Why do we fear loneliness? In our modern world, loneliness is often seen as something negative or something to avoid at all costs. We may think that if we're alone, something is wrong with us. But loneliness is not a flaw or a sign of failure. It's a normal human experience, one that everyone faces at some point in their lives. The key is not to see it as something to escape, but as an opportunity to understand ourselves on a deeper level. Buddha's teachings remind us that everything, including our emotions, is impermanent. Feelings of loneliness, like all feelings, are temporary. They come and go, just like clouds in the sky. When we learn to sit with loneliness, without judgment or resistance, we begin to understand its impermanent nature. Personal story, learning to sit with loneliness. When I first started living alone, I often found myself feeling lonely, especially during the evenings when everything was quiet. At first, I tried to distract myself from it. I kept busy with tasks or scrolled endlessly through social media. But over time, I realized that running from loneliness only made it stronger. So, I decided to try something different. I learned to sit with it. I began by simply acknowledging the feeling of loneliness without judgment. Instead of thinking, I shouldn't feel this way, I allowed myself to feel it fully. I observed the sensation of emptiness in my chest, the quiet longing for connection, and the ache for companionship. And, surprisingly, something beautiful happened. As I sat with the loneliness, it began to lose its power over me. It became just another feeling, one that was fleeting, not permanent. Buddha's teachings on non-attachment. Buddha taught the principle of non-attachment, which helps us to approach loneliness with a more open heart. Non-attachment doesn't mean being detached or indifferent, it means not clinging to feelings or experiences, especially when they are difficult. In the case of loneliness, non-attachment teaches us not to hold on to the feeling or make it our identity. Instead, we recognize it as something passing through us. Loneliness, like all emotions, is a teacher. It shows us what we truly need: connection, companionship, and community. But it also teaches us that we are not defined by our loneliness. We are more than our feelings. And through mindfulness, we can transform this temporary state into an opportunity for growth. Meditation, transforming loneliness into compassion. One of the most effective ways to deal with loneliness is through meditation. Buddha taught us to practice mindfulness and loving-kindness meditation, or metta, to transform negative feelings into compassion. When we meditate on loneliness, we can cultivate a sense of kindness towards ourselves. During a loving-kindness meditation, we begin by directing loving thoughts towards ourselves. May I be happy. May I be peaceful. May I be free from suffering. As we do this, we acknowledge our loneliness and send ourselves love and compassion. Gradually, this practice expands to include others. May you be happy. May you be peaceful. In this way, loneliness transforms into a tool for compassion, both for ourselves and for others. Creating connections, finding support in community. While solitude is important for personal growth, it's also essential to recognize that we are not meant to live in isolation forever. As Buddha emphasized, finding a community, or sangha, is an important part of spiritual practice. Human beings are social creatures, and we thrive when we share our experiences and support one another. In today's world, finding a community doesn't have to mean physical proximity. We can build connections with people online, through shared interests or values. Whether it's through virtual communities, social groups, or even support networks. Knowing that we are part of something bigger than ourselves can help ease the feeling of loneliness. Expressing ourselves creatively. Another way to cope with loneliness is to express ourselves creatively. Writing, drawing, painting, or even making music can help us process our emotions and connect with others who may be feeling the same way. Creativity has a healing power. And when we create, we don't just express our loneliness, we transform it into something beautiful. A realization, the impermanence of loneliness. I've realized that loneliness isn't something that should be feared. It's a natural part of life, just like joy or sadness. In fact, it is through facing loneliness that we learn to appreciate the moments of connection we share with others. Understanding that loneliness is impermanent helps us to let go of the idea that it is a permanent state. With time, it will pass. And with mindfulness, it becomes a passing visitor, not a permanent resident. Conclusion. Buddha's teachings show us that loneliness is not a curse, but an opportunity to learn more about ourselves. By embracing our loneliness with mindfulness, compassion, and patience, we can transform it into a gateway for deeper self-awareness and connection with others. When we can sit with our loneliness, we learn that we are never truly alone. We are always connected to the world, to each other, and to the wisdom of our inner selves. 3. The art of self-sufficiency, finding strength and freedom in independence. Living alone is like embarking on a grand adventure, one that leads us to discover our own strength, resilience, and self-reliance. It's an opportunity to take responsibility for our lives, manage our daily tasks, and become empowered in the process. When we live alone, we take on the role of both caregiver and nurturer for ourselves. This means learning how to take care of not just our physical needs, but also our emotional and spiritual well-being. It's about finding balance, establishing routines, and discovering new ways to thrive on our own. Taking responsibility, building the foundation of self-sufficiency. The journey to self-sufficiency begins with small steps. When you first start living alone, you're faced with a range of new responsibilities: cooking, cleaning, managing your finances, and taking care of your health. While these tasks might seem basic, they are the building blocks of independence. Each time you cook a meal, clean your space, or pay a bill, you are affirming your ability to care for yourself. It's in these everyday acts that we begin to develop confidence in our own abilities. And while the tasks might feel daunting at first, they quickly become familiar, giving us a sense of accomplishment and pride. Buddha taught us that true independence doesn't mean isolating ourselves from others or avoiding help when needed. It's about developing the wisdom to know when to act on our own and when to ask for support. In fact, one of the keys to true independence is the ability to ask for help when necessary and recognize that we are all interdependent. Creating routines, the key to a fulfilling life. One of the most important aspects of living alone is establishing a routine. A daily routine not only helps us stay organized but also provides structure and purpose to our days. The routine doesn't need to be rigid, it's about creating balance and harmony in our lives. For example, I started to structure my days around activities that nourished both my body and mind, cooking a healthy breakfast, taking a walk in nature, dedicating time for meditation, and setting aside moments for self-reflection. Each of these activities became a building block of my self-care routine. By incorporating these mindful habits into my day, I found a sense of stability and contentment. Buddha often spoke of the importance of balance. He encouraged his followers to find the middle way, avoiding extremes of indulgence or denial. A balanced routine helps us avoid overworking or exhausting ourselves. It reminds us that life is about finding harmony, not about filling every minute with tasks. Self-reliance, taking care of yourself emotionally and spiritually, while taking care of our physical needs is important. Living alone also gives us the opportunity to nourish our emotional and spiritual well-being. When we live alone, we are forced to confront our own emotions and find ways to care for our mental health. A key aspect of self-sufficiency is learning to support ourselves emotionally. Buddha emphasized the importance of mindfulness in understanding and regulating our emotions. When we are alone, we are often faced with feelings of uncertainty or vulnerability. But these moments offer us a chance to practice emotional awareness. For example, when I experience feelings of anxiety or sadness, instead of avoiding or suppressing them, I turn to mindfulness. I sit quietly, observe my thoughts and emotions without judgment, and let them pass through me. By doing this, I strengthen my ability to handle difficult emotions, and I don't rely on external sources for validation or support. Spiritual practices like meditation can also be incredibly helpful for developing emotional resilience. When we meditate, we learn to observe our thoughts and emotions from a place of stillness, rather than being swept away by them. This practice enables us to cultivate inner peace and stability, no matter what challenges life brings. Self-sufficiency and financial independence. Another important aspect of living alone is managing our finances. Financial independence is a crucial part of self-sufficiency, and it requires discipline, responsibility, and foresight. Buddha taught that we should earn a living through honest and ethical means, and live within our means. He warned against greed and attachment to wealth, encouraging us to cultivate a sense of contentment with what we have. By learning to manage our money wisely, we not only ensure our financial well-being, but also free ourselves from the stress of financial insecurity. For me, learning how to budget and save was an important part of my journey toward self-sufficiency. Initially, it was overwhelming to track my spending and create a financial plan. But with time, it became second nature. Now, I feel empowered by my ability to take control of my finances. knowing that I am creating a stable foundation for my future. The freedom of self-sufficiency. Living alone gives us the freedom to make choices that are in alignment with our own values and desires. This freedom extends to all aspects of our lives, from what we eat and how we spend our time, to how we interact with others and the kind of lifestyle we want to create. When we are no longer dependent on others for our happiness or well-being, we unlock a sense of true freedom. We no longer need to seek validation from others or conform to external expectations. Instead, we have the space to explore what truly brings us joy, fulfillment, and peace. Living alone teaches us to trust in ourselves and our abilities. We learn that we are capable of navigating life's challenges and creating a life that is meaningful to us. And as we grow in self-sufficiency, we also learn the importance of compassion and generosity towards others. Personal story: learning to trust myself. I remember a time when I struggled with decision-making. I often doubted myself and relied on others to guide me. But as I lived alone, I began to trust my instincts more. I started to make decisions based on what felt right for me, rather than seeking approval or validation from others. One day, I decided to take a solo trip to a place I had always wanted to visit. At first, I was nervous and uncertain. But as I traveled, I realized how capable I was of navigating new places, meeting new people, and creating my own adventure. That experience taught me that I am enough on my own. I have the strength to create my own happiness, without relying on others to provide it. Conclusion: embracing the journey of self-sufficiency. Self-sufficiency is not just about managing tasks or responsibilities. It is about developing a deep sense of trust in ourselves, recognizing our inner strength, and understanding that we are capable of navigating life on our own. It's about finding joy and fulfillment in our own company, while still remaining open to connecting with others in meaningful ways. Living alone allows us to take full responsibility for our lives, our happiness, our well-being, and our growth. It is a journey of empowerment and freedom. By embracing the challenges of living alone, we build a strong foundation of self-reliance, which ultimately leads to a richer, more fulfilling life. 4. Discovering inner peace, turning solitude into serenity. Living alone offers us a unique opportunity to cultivate inner peace, an essential aspect of our well-being. In the busy, fast-paced world we live in, it can be easy to lose touch with the stillness that lies within us. But when we live alone, we can learn to find peace in solitude and embrace the quiet as a space for healing and growth. The key to discovering inner peace lies not in changing our surroundings, but in changing how we respond to them. Buddha's teachings offer us timeless wisdom on how to cultivate peace within, regardless of external circumstances. Embracing silence, finding peace in solitude. The first step in finding inner peace is learning to embrace silence. Many of us are used to the constant noise and distractions of modern life. Living alone, however, offers a chance to step away from the noise and enter a quieter space where we can truly listen to ourselves. At first, the silence may feel uncomfortable or even overwhelming. We may feel the urge to fill the space with noise, whether it's music, TV, or endless chatter. But the real power of solitude lies in learning to be comfortable with the quiet. Buddha encouraged his followers to meditate in silence, as it allows us to connect more deeply with our inner thoughts, emotions, and the present moment. When I first began living alone, I struggled with the quiet. I felt the need to distract myself constantly. But over time, I realized that silence wasn't something to be afraid of, it was a gift. In those moments of stillness, I began to find clarity and calmness. I could hear my own thoughts more clearly and process emotions without external distractions. Mindfulness, staying present in the moment. One of the most powerful tools for cultivating inner peace is mindfulness, the practice of being fully present in the moment. Buddha taught that true peace arises when we stop dwelling on the past or worrying about the future and focus instead on the present moment. Living alone gives us the space to practice mindfulness more easily. We can learn to focus on the simple acts of daily life, drinking a cup of tea, washing the dishes, or taking a walk in nature. By bringing our full attention to these activities, we cultivate a sense of peace and contentment that comes from appreciating the present. For example, when I drink tea, I try to slow down and savor each sip. I focus on the warmth of the cup in my hands, the aroma of the tea, and the sensation of each sip as it touches my lips. In these moments, I am fully present, and that simple act becomes a source of peace. By practicing mindfulness in this way, we begin to find joy and calmness in even the smallest of moments. Meditation, the path to inner stillness. Meditation is a cornerstone of Buddhist practice, and it is one of the most powerful ways to cultivate inner peace. Through meditation, we learn to quiet the mind and observe our thoughts without judgment. This practice helps us develop the ability to let go of stress, anxiety, and negative emotions. When we meditate, we sit in stillness and focus on our breath. As thoughts arise, we acknowledge them without attachment, and gently bring our attention back to the present moment. This practice trains us to respond to the fluctuations of the mind with compassion and patience, rather than frustration. I remember when I first started meditating, it was challenging to quiet my busy mind. Thoughts constantly interrupted my focus, and I felt frustrated. But over time, I realized that the key to meditation was not in forcing my mind to be still, but in allowing thoughts to come and go without getting caught up in them. Each time I let go of a thought and returned to my breath, I was cultivating peace. Meditation teaches us to observe our thoughts and emotions from a place of stillness, helping us navigate life's challenges with greater ease. When we live alone, we can use meditation as a tool to process our feelings, reduce stress, and find inner balance. The role of nature, connecting with the world around us. Another powerful way to cultivate inner peace is by connecting with nature. Nature has a calming, grounding effect that can help us regain our sense of balance and serenity. Buddha himself spent much time in nature, meditating under trees, walking along rivers, and contemplating the beauty of the natural world. Spending time outdoors can be a simple yet profound way to experience peace. Whether it's taking a walk in the park, sitting by the water, or simply gazing at the sky, nature reminds us of the impermanence and beauty of life. In nature, we can feel connected to something larger than ourselves, and that connection brings a sense of peace. For me, spending time in nature has been a powerful source of tranquility. Whenever I feel overwhelmed or stressed, I take a walk outside. The fresh air, the sound of birds, and the sight of trees sway in the wind help me feel centered and at peace. Nature has a way of reminding me that everything is temporary, and that peace can always be found in the present moment. The importance of acceptance, letting go of control. Another important aspect of discovering inner peace is learning to accept things as they are. We often try to control every aspect of our lives, from our relationships to our work and even our emotions. But true peace arises when we let go of the need to control everything and accept the present moment, just as it is. Buddha taught that suffering arises from attachment, our desire to control or hold on to things. When we let go of these attachments and accept the natural flow of life, we create space for peace to enter. This doesn't mean that we passively accept everything that happens, but rather that we learn to respond to life's changes with equanimity, without resisting or clinging to anything. For instance, I've found that when I stop resisting difficult emotions like sadness or anxiety, they tend to dissipate more quickly. By accepting that these feelings are a natural part of life, I can approach them with compassion and understanding, rather than frustration. In this way, acceptance becomes a powerful tool for cultivating inner peace. Personal story: finding peace in the present moment. I'll share a personal story. A few years ago, I went through a period of deep uncertainty. I had many questions about my future, my career, and my relationships. I found myself constantly worrying about what would happen next and feeling anxious about the unknown. One day, I decided to take a walk in the park to clear my mind. As I walked, I realized that my mind was racing with thoughts about the future. But then I stopped, took a deep breath, and turned my attention to the present moment. I noticed the sound of the wind in the trees, the warmth of the sun on my skin, and the beauty of the flowers around me. In that moment, I realized that peace wasn't something I had to chase, it was already here, in the present moment. Since that day, I've made it a practice to remind myself to return to the present whenever I feel overwhelmed. Whether I'm at work, with friends, or alone, I can always find peace by focusing on the here and now. Conclusion: the inner peace we seek is already within. Discovering inner peace while living alone is not just about finding calm in moments of solitude, it's about learning to carry that peace with us, wherever we go. By embracing silence, practicing mindfulness, meditating, connecting with nature, and accepting life as it comes, we create a sanctuary of peace within ourselves. Buddha's teachings remind us that peace is not something that can be found outside of us, but rather something that we must cultivate from within. As we learn to embrace the quiet moments of our lives, we create the space for true peace to take root. Living alone gives us the opportunity to turn solitude into serenity. It's a journey of self-discovery, where we learn that the peace we seek is always within reach, and that with patience and practice, we can find calmness and contentment in every moment. 5. Growth through adaptation, embracing change. Living alone often forces us to face change in a way we may not have experienced before. It teaches us the art of adaptation, how to bend and grow in response to life's shifts, challenges, and unpredictabilities. Change is inevitable, and learning to adapt is one of the most valuable skills we can develop. In fact, Buddha's teachings on impermanence highlight the truth that nothing stays the same forever. The more we learn to embrace change, the more we grow, adapting to new circumstances. When we first begin living alone, it can feel like stepping into uncharted territory. The routines we once relied on might be disrupted, and the comfort of familiar faces may no longer be within reach. This can feel unsettling at first. However, this sense of discomfort is often the first step towards growth. Buddha once said, "Just as a flower does not pick and choose the bees that come to it, we too must accept the changes that come into our lives." At the start, I remember feeling uncertain about managing everything on my own: cooking, cleaning, handling finances. But as time passed, I realized that each challenge was an opportunity to learn something new about myself. It was a process of learning to be resourceful, patient, and accepting of the changes life brought. The struggle I initially faced eventually became a path to growth. When we learn to adapt, we open ourselves to new possibilities. For example, I discovered that cooking for myself didn't just satisfy my hunger, it became a form of self-care. I began experimenting with recipes, enjoying the process, and feeling empowered by my ability to create meals from scratch. Similarly, when I faced difficulties with time management or finances, I learned new systems and strategies that helped me navigate my daily life more effectively. Every challenge I faced became an opportunity to improve. Buddha's teachings on impermanence. Buddha taught that all things are impermanent, constantly changing and evolving. This understanding of impermanence can help us navigate the discomfort of change with greater ease. Instead of resisting the shifts in our lives, we can learn to flow with them. When we accept that nothing stays the same, we can let go of attachment to outcomes and embrace the present as it is. The concept of impermanence also teaches us not to take anything for granted. Relationships, opportunities, and even our own state of mind are constantly evolving. When we understand this, we begin to appreciate the beauty of the present moment and can approach life with a sense of openness and curiosity. In my own experience, learning to embrace impermanence has made me more adaptable and resilient. Rather than fearing the unknown, I now approach new situations with a sense of possibility. I've come to understand that everything is part of a larger, ever-changing flow, and I am simply a participant in that flow. The power of resilience. Adapting to living alone is not always easy. It requires resilience, the ability to bounce back from setbacks and continue moving forward despite challenges. Resilience is an essential quality for personal growth. Buddha taught that suffering is a natural part of life, but that we have the capacity to overcome it and transform it into wisdom. Living alone can sometimes bring us face to face with moments of vulnerability or loneliness. But resilience allows us to meet these moments with strength, knowing that they too shall pass. Resilience also gives us the strength to learn from our experiences, rather than being defeated by them. One of the most important lessons I've learned while living alone is how to be resilient in the face of difficulties. I've had moments where I felt overwhelmed, whether due to financial struggles, health challenges, or personal uncertainty. But instead of giving in to despair, I learned to face these challenges head-on. Each time I was knocked down, I got back up and moved forward, learning valuable lessons along the way. Adapting in small ways, the power of consistency. Adaptation isn't always about making huge life changes. Sometimes, the most significant growth comes from small, consistent shifts in how we approach our daily lives. Buddha emphasized the importance of gradual progress and small efforts leading to profound transformation. This is why creating a daily routine is so powerful. By establishing small, healthy habits in our daily lives, such as practicing mindfulness, setting aside time for self-care, or creating a simple exercise routine, we build a foundation for long-term growth. These small shifts help us adapt to our circumstances with greater ease, without feeling overwhelmed by the need for drastic change. For example, rather than waiting for a big event or decision to trigger growth, I started by focusing on the little things I could control. I made sure to spend a few minutes each day meditating, and I started journaling to reflect on my thoughts and feelings. These small practices helped me feel grounded and centered, allowing me to adapt to challenges more easily. Personal growth through new experiences. Living alone also opens the door to new experiences that may have once felt intimidating. When we don't have a partner or close friends around, we are often forced to step out of our comfort zones and try new things. This can be as simple as joining a class, picking up a new hobby, or traveling to a place we've never been. These experiences expand our horizons and contribute to our personal growth. For example, I took up painting when I started living alone, At first, I was unsure of my abilities, but I decided to experiment. Over time, I learned not only how to paint but also how to enjoy the process of creating without worrying about the outcome. This creative exploration became an important part of my journey, helping me adapt to life on my own and discover new aspects of myself. The middle way, balancing adaptation and acceptance. Buddha's teachings on the middle way are deeply relevant to the process of adaptation. The middle way is about finding a balance between extremes. When it comes to adapting to living alone, we can apply this teaching by finding a balance between action and acceptance. On one hand, we must be willing to make changes and take action in our lives. But on the other hand, we must also accept that there are things we cannot control. By finding this balance, we avoid becoming too rigid in our approach to life, while also remaining proactive in our growth. For instance, I've learned to strike a balance between pursuing my goals and accepting where I am in the present moment. I take small steps each day toward my personal and professional aspirations. But I also remind myself that progress is a journey, not a race. This approach has helped me remain adaptable and open to whatever life brings. Conclusion: adaptation as a path to personal growth. Living alone teaches us that adaptation is not just about changing our external circumstances, it's about shifting our mindset and learning to navigate life's uncertainties with grace. By embracing change, building resilience, and practicing consistency, we become more adaptable and capable of handling whatever challenges come our way. As we grow through adaptation, we begin to see change not as something to fear, but as an opportunity for growth. With the wisdom of Buddha's teachings on impermanence and the middle way, we learn to adapt to life's fluctuations with ease, finding strength in flexibility and wisdom in change. 6. Discovering inner peace, finding calm in solitude. Living alone provides a unique opportunity to discover inner peace, which, in many ways, is the true essence of Buddhist teachings. Buddha emphasized that peace is not something we can find outside of ourselves, but something that comes from within. As we navigate life alone, we are given the chance to cultivate this peace by learning to be content and present in the moment, regardless of external circumstances. Understanding peace as inner stillness. The first step in finding inner peace while living alone is understanding that peace is not dependent on our surroundings, our possessions, or even our relationships. True peace arises from our ability to be present with ourselves, to sit in stillness without feeling the need to constantly distract ourselves. In this silence, we are not alone, we are in the presence of our own thoughts, emotions, and the deeper parts of our being. This idea may sound simple, but it can be quite profound. We live in a world where distractions are everywhere: social media, constant noise, endless to-do lists. Yet, Buddha's teachings remind us that stillness is where we find clarity and peace. In those moments of quiet, we can listen to our inner voice and understand our needs more clearly. For me, when I first started living alone, I was often overwhelmed by the silence. The constant noise of everyday life was gone, and it was just me and my thoughts. But over time, I began to realize that this silence wasn't something to fear, it was a gift. It was an invitation to get to know myself on a deeper level. The role of meditation in cultivating peace. Meditation, one of the core practices in Buddhism, plays a significant role in discovering inner peace. By dedicating time each day to sit in stillness, we can learn to quiet the mind and find peace within ourselves. Meditation is not about achieving a blank mind, it's about observing our thoughts, letting them come and go without judgment. This practice teaches us to cultivate a sense of calm that we can carry with us throughout the day. Buddhist teachings on mindfulness, or sati, invite us to be fully present in every moment, paying attention to our thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations without clinging to them. Through mindfulness, we become aware of how our mind works, how it creates stories, judgments, and worries, and we learn not to be carried away by these thoughts. We become more grounded in the present moment. In my own experience, meditation has been an invaluable tool in finding inner peace. Whether it's a few minutes in the morning or a longer session in the evening, meditation helps me to slow down, clear my mind, and find stillness. It's during these moments of quiet reflection that I am able to connect more deeply with myself and experience a profound sense of peace. The power of acceptance. Another key aspect of inner peace is acceptance. Buddha taught that much of our suffering comes from our resistance to life as it is. When we resist the flow of life, we create tension within ourselves. However, when we accept things as they are, we are able to move with life rather than against it. This doesn't mean we accept everything passively, but rather that we learn to embrace life's challenges with grace and understanding. Living alone often brings unexpected challenges, loneliness, uncertainty, or even fear. But through the practice of acceptance, we can learn to face these challenges without judgment. We can accept that feelings of loneliness are natural, that uncertainty is part of the human experience, and that fear is just another emotion that will eventually pass. By accepting these feelings, we reduce their power over us and create space for peace. In my own journey, I've learned that acceptance doesn't mean giving up, it means acknowledging that we cannot control everything. When I accept life's imperfections, I free myself from the constant need to control and fix things. This has brought me a deep sense of peace, knowing that I am okay even when things don't go as planned. Living in the present moment. The practice of living in the present moment is essential for discovering inner peace. Buddha taught that much of our suffering comes from dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. When we are caught in these mental states, we miss out on the beauty of the present moment. Living alone gives us the opportunity to practice being fully present with ourselves, to experience life as it unfolds without distraction. When we are alone, we can begin to truly appreciate the simple things, like the sound of birds singing, the feeling of a gentle breeze, or the taste of a warm meal. These moments, although small, are powerful in their ability to bring peace and contentment. By training our mind to focus on the present, we can experience life more fully and with greater appreciation. One of the practices that has helped me cultivate presence is mindful eating. Rather than rushing through meals or eating while distracted, I make an effort to truly savor each bite. I pay attention to the flavors, textures, and sensations in my mouth. This simple practice helps me slow down, center myself, and experience peace in an everyday activity, creating a peaceful space at home. Another way to foster inner peace is by creating a physical environment that supports tranquility. Our surroundings have a powerful impact on our mental state. By arranging our living space in a way that feels calming and nurturing, we can help cultivate a peaceful atmosphere that promotes inner calm. Buddha encouraged simplicity and clarity in our surroundings, as this can reflect and support the simplicity and clarity we seek within. When I first moved into my own place, I felt overwhelmed by the clutter. But as I began to declutter and organize, I noticed a shift in my mind. The cleaner and more orderly my environment became, the calmer I felt. I started to incorporate elements that brought me peace: soft lighting, comfortable furniture, plants, and calming colors. Creating a peaceful environment has been a powerful way to nurture my inner peace. The importance of nature. Spending time in nature is another way to experience peace. Nature has an inherent ability to calm the mind and bring us back to our true selves. Buddha found enlightenment under a tree. And nature continues to be a source of inspiration and peace for many. By spending time outside, whether it's walking in the park, sitting by the beach, or hiking in the mountains, we can reconnect with the natural rhythms of life and experience peace in a profound way. In my own experience, spending time in nature has been one of the most grounding practices. Whether it's a walk in the woods or simply sitting by a river, nature always reminds me to slow down, breathe, and appreciate the beauty around me. It's in these moments that I feel a deep sense of inner peace, as if I am a part of something much larger than myself. Conclusion: embracing the peace within. Living alone provides an incredible opportunity to discover and cultivate inner peace. Through practices like meditation, mindfulness, and acceptance, we can transform our solitude into a sanctuary of peace. When we learn to find peace within ourselves, we no longer rely on external circumstances to bring us happiness. We become the source of our own peace. And this inner peace radiates outward, affecting every aspect of our lives. As Buddha taught, peace is not something to be found outside of ourselves, it is already within us, waiting to be realized. By embracing silence, being present, and creating a peaceful environment, we can uncover this inner peace and live a life of true contentment. Seven, growth through adaptation, learning to thrive in solitude. Living alone is not only about managing day-to-day tasks, it's an ongoing journey of growth and personal transformation. One of the greatest lessons we learn when living on our own is how to adapt to life's ever-changing circumstances. Adaptability is crucial, especially in times of uncertainty, and it can be a path to deeper personal growth. Buddha often spoke about the importance of flexibility, of being like a tree that bends with the wind instead of breaking. When we learn to adapt, we gain strength and resilience. The beauty of adaptability. At first, living alone may feel like a big challenge. You may encounter moments of loneliness, moments of doubt, or moments of discomfort. But through adaptation, you can learn to thrive in these moments. Buddha's teachings on impermanence remind us that everything in life is constantly changing. Nothing remains the same forever. And this understanding can free us from the fear of change. When we can embrace change as a natural part of life, we begin to experience growth in ways we never expected. For example, when I first moved into my apartment and started living alone, I felt overwhelmed by all the new responsibilities: cooking, cleaning, managing finances. At first, I was uncertain about how to balance it all. But over time, I learned to adapt. I set small, achievable goals for myself and took it one step at a time. This gradual adaptation process allowed me to find my rhythm and become more comfortable in my new lifestyle. Learning from life's challenges. Adapting to living alone means facing challenges head-on and learning from them. There will be moments of hardship, whether it's dealing with financial stress, health issues, or emotional struggles. But each challenge presents an opportunity for personal growth. Buddha's teachings on suffering remind us that pain and challenges are an inevitable part of life. However, we can choose how to respond to these difficulties. Rather than resisting or avoiding them, we can choose to face them with patience, resilience, and an open heart. One challenge I encountered was managing my time effectively. At first, I struggled with balancing work, self-care, and social activities. But instead of seeing this as a failure, I saw it as a lesson. I started setting clear boundaries for myself, making sure I scheduled time for relaxation and hobbies. Gradually, I learned how to balance all aspects of my life in a way that felt sustainable. This process taught me the importance of being flexible, of adjusting my plans as needed, and of trusting in my ability to adapt. Building resilience. Living alone teaches us to build resilience, the ability to bounce back from setbacks and keep moving forward. Resilience is not about avoiding challenges, it's about learning how to navigate them with grace and strength. Buddha's teachings on the Four Noble Truths provide a framework for understanding how to cope with life's difficulties. By accepting suffering as a natural part of life and responding to it with mindfulness, we can develop resilience and transform our challenges into opportunities for growth. For example, when I faced moments of loneliness, I didn't try to push the feelings away. Instead, I allowed myself to feel them fully. And through this process, I learned to cope with them more effectively. Over time, I realized that loneliness wasn't something to be feared, it was a natural feeling that would pass, just like any other emotion. By accepting it and allowing it to be a part of my experience, I became more resilient in the face of isolation. The power of self-reflection. Another key aspect of growth through adaptation is the practice of self-reflection. Living alone provides ample opportunity to reflect on your life, your choices, and your path forward. Reflection allows us to learn from our experiences and make conscious decisions about how we want to live. Buddha encouraged self-reflection as a way to cultivate wisdom. By examining our thoughts, actions, and habits, we can identify areas where we can improve and grow. Through self-reflection, I have come to recognize patterns in my behavior that I would not have seen otherwise. For instance, I realized that I often spent too much time worrying about the future instead of focusing on the present. This awareness allowed me to shift my mindset and practice mindfulness more consciously. By reflecting on my thoughts and behaviors, I was able to make positive changes and grow into a more balanced person. Embracing change and finding new possibilities. Adapting to life alone also means embracing change and seeing it as an opportunity for reinvention. Buddha's teachings on impermanence remind us that change is the only constant in life. Instead of fearing change, we can learn to embrace it and look for the possibilities it brings. Living alone can be a chance to reinvent ourselves, to try new things, explore new hobbies, and set new goals. For instance, I began exploring new hobbies that I hadn't had time for before, such as painting and journaling. These activities not only provided an outlet for creativity but also became a source of joy and fulfillment. I also started setting new personal goals. Whether it was improving my fitness, learning a new language, or volunteering in my community, the freedom of living alone gave me the space to explore new interests and grow in ways I hadn't anticipated. The wisdom of the middle way. One of the central teachings of Buddhism is the middle way, the path of moderation between extremes. Living alone can sometimes feel isolating, and it's easy to fall into the extremes of either complete solitude or over-engagement with others. Buddha taught that the key to balance is moderation, finding harmony between being alone and connecting with others, between pursuing personal goals and nurturing relationships. In my own life, I've learned that finding this balance is essential. While I value my time alone and the personal growth it brings, I also recognize the importance of maintaining relationships with friends and family. I have learned to embrace solitude without letting it become loneliness, and to connect with others without losing my sense of self. This balance allows me to experience both independence and connection, two essential aspects of living a fulfilling life. Conclusion: thriving in solitude. Ultimately, living alone is an opportunity for profound personal growth. It's not just about managing the practicalities of daily life, it's about learning to adapt, build resilience, and embrace change. Through these lessons, we become more self-aware, more adaptable, and more empowered to create the life we want. Buddha's teachings offer us a path to navigate life's challenges with wisdom, compassion, and equanimity. When we learn to adapt to life alone, we discover not only our inner strength but also our capacity for growth, creativity, and transformation. Living alone, while initially daunting, can lead to a life that is richer, more fulfilling, and more connected to our true selves. 8. Embracing personal freedom, the joy of independence. Living alone offers an incredible opportunity to experience true personal freedom. It's like having the keys to your own life, allowing you to make decisions based on your own desires, values, and principles. Buddha taught that true freedom comes from self-discipline and the ability to live authentically, without being swayed by external pressures or societal expectations. When we live alone, we have the space to explore who we truly are, without the influence of others' opinions. The joy of self-discovery. One of the most rewarding aspects of living alone is the chance to discover more about yourself, without the constant presence of others. You have the freedom to reflect on your desires, values, and passions. Buddha often spoke about the importance of self-awareness and self-realization. When we are not constantly surrounded by the noise of others, we can tune into our own thoughts, feelings, and needs. For example, I've learned a great deal about myself since I started living alone. I've discovered hobbies I didn't know I had an interest in, such as yoga and cooking. And I've had the time and space to really think about my life goals. Living alone has given me the opportunity to listen to my own voice and trust my instincts, rather than seeking validation from others. Making choices based on your own values. Living alone also means that you can make decisions based on your own values, rather than being influenced by the preferences or expectations of others. Whether it's deciding what to eat, what activities to pursue, or how to spend your time, you have the autonomy to choose what feels right for you. This freedom can be incredibly empowering. For instance, I've found that living alone allows me to cultivate my own routines and habits. Without compromise, I can set my own schedule, prioritize my well-being, and focus on what truly brings me joy and fulfillment. This freedom to make choices without external pressure helps me feel more grounded and connected to my authentic self. Personal freedom and responsibility. However, with personal freedom comes personal responsibility. Buddha taught that freedom is not about doing whatever we want without consequences, but about making choices that lead to inner peace and harmony. Living alone requires us to take full responsibility for our actions and their impact on ourselves and others. It's about finding balance, using our freedom to create a life that is meaningful and fulfilling, while also being mindful of our actions. For example, when living alone, I became more aware of my impact on the environment. I began making more conscious choices, such as reducing waste and conserving energy, because I realized that my actions matter. This sense of responsibility enhances the freedom of living alone, as it empowers us to create a life that aligns with our values. Living authentically. Perhaps the greatest gift of living alone is the opportunity to live authentically, according to your own beliefs and principles. When we are constantly surrounded by others, it can be easy to lose sight of our true selves, as we try to meet others' expectations. But living alone gives us the freedom to pursue our passions, set our own boundaries, and live in a way that feels true to who we are. This authenticity is key to living a fulfilled and meaningful life. Living authentically also means learning to embrace your imperfections and accepting yourself as you are. Buddha's teachings on self-compassion remind us that we don't need to be perfect to be worthy of love and happiness. By accepting ourselves fully, we can experience true freedom, freedom from judgment, comparison, and the need for external validation. The balance of freedom and connection. Living alone doesn't mean complete isolation. True personal freedom includes the freedom to connect with others, when and how we choose. It's important to remember that we can maintain meaningful relationships while still enjoying our independence. Buddha taught us about the interconnectedness of all beings and the importance of community, sangha, in our lives. We can enjoy personal freedom while remaining connected to others through love, compassion, and shared experiences. In my own life, I've found that my relationships have become stronger because I've learned to prioritize my own well-being and set boundaries. When I feel secure in my own independence, I am able to show up more fully for others and create healthier, more balanced relationships. Conclusion: the freedom to live fully. Living alone is a profound journey of self-discovery, empowerment, and growth. It's an opportunity to explore who we truly are, make choices based on our values, and create a life that is authentic and fulfilling. By embracing the personal freedom that comes with living alone, we can learn to live more fully, with purpose and intention. Through Buddha's teachings, we find the wisdom to navigate this journey with balance, mindfulness, and compassion. Living alone is not a solitary experience, it's an adventure that leads to a deeper connection with ourselves, others, and the world around us. Call to action: don't miss out, subscribe now. If you found this exploration of living alone and Buddha's wisdom inspiring, then don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. The Path to Buddhist Wisdom. Your support helps us continue to share more insights, stories, and teachings that inspire personal growth and spiritual exploration. By subscribing, you join a community of like-minded individuals who are on a journey of self-discovery and transformation. Let's continue exploring the profound teachings of Buddhism together and discover the path to inner peace, happiness, and wisdom. Comment below and share your experiences with living alone. What lessons have you learned? How has solitude helped you grow? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you for being part of our community. And remember, the path to wisdom is a journey that never ends. Stay mindful, stay connected, and keep exploring the depths of your own heart.